G1 stepped off the transport ship with nothing but a worn backpack and a fake identity card. The docking bay of Dustfall Station smelled like oil, sweat, and recycled air. Hundreds of people moved around her. Humans mixed with dozens of alien species she had learned to recognize over the past 5 years. She kept her head down and walked fast. This was the 14th station she had visited since running away from Hanseong Industries. Each time she arrived somewhere new, she told herself this would be the place where she could finally stop. Each time she was wrong. Dustfall Station sat on the edge of human territory, far from the inner colonies where corporations had real power. Out here, people didn't ask too many questions. You could be anyone you wanted to be, as long as you worked hard and kept your nose clean. G1 planned to do both. She found a cheap room in the station's lower levels, where the lights flickered and the walls hummed with the sound of recycling systems. The room was barely big enough for a bed and a small desk, but it was hers. She locked the door, checked the window twice, and finally allowed herself to breathe. That night, she dreamed of fire. In her dreams, she saw the research facility exploding, heard her colleagues screaming, felt the heat on her face as she ran. She woke up sweating, her heart racing. The dreams never stopped. They followed her from station to station, system to system, like ghosts she could never escape. The next morning, G1 found work at a cargo handling company. The boss was a large human man with gray hair who barely looked at her false papers before hiring her. They needed workers, and she needed to disappear into a crowd. It was perfect. For 3 weeks, everything went smoothly. She loaded boxes, moved containers, and kept to herself. The other workers left her alone. She ate in her room, avoided the crowded bars and markets, and saved every credit she earned. Maybe, she thought, this time would be different. Then she saw the Vrelian. It was standing across the cargo bay, its insect-like head turning slowly as it scanned the workers. Vrelians were bounty hunters, the best in the galaxy. They never gave up once they locked onto a target. G1's blood turned to ice. She ducked behind a cargo container and watched through a gap. The Vrelian was talking to her boss, showing him something on a datapad. Her boss shook his head. The Vrelian moved on, but G1 knew what this meant. They had found her again. That evening, she walked through the station's market district, trying to blend in with the crowd while her mind raced. She needed to leave tonight. There was a transport heading to the Rim colonies in the morning. If she could get on it with a new identity, she might have a few more months before they found her again. As she walked, a commotion broke out ahead. 3 large men in dirty clothes had cornered an elderly alien merchant, demanding protection money. The merchant was small and frail, clearly terrified. The crowd moved around them, nobody wanting to get involved. Then a voice cut through the noise. "I think you boys should move along." G1 stopped and stared. A man stood between the thugs and the merchant. He wore strange clothes, like something from old Earth history vids. A wide-brimmed hat, a long coat that reached his knees, and boots with metal tips. Most unusual of all, he had an old-style revolver hanging from his belt, though it glowed with modified technology. The man was Korean, like her. He stood relaxed, one hand resting near his weapon, his face calm. The thugs laughed at him. "This ain't your business, cowboy," one of them said. "Walk away." The man in the hat smiled, but his eyes were cold. "Can't do that. See, I got a problem with folks who pick on people smaller than them. Makes me itchy." He spoke in perfect Korean, then switched to common. "So I'm giving you one chance. Walk away or don't. Your choice." The thugs went for their weapons. The man in the hat moved faster than G1 thought possible. His hand blurred, the revolver appeared, and a high-pitched whine filled the air. All 3 thugs dropped to the ground, unconscious, before their guns even cleared their holsters. The crowd scattered quickly. The man helped the elderly alien to his feet, tipped his hat, and walked away as if nothing had happened. G1 watched him go, her heart pounding for a different reason now. That kind of speed, that kind of confidence, meant he was military trained. Probably someone important on this station. She pushed the thought away and hurried back to her room. She had bigger problems. When she opened her door, she knew immediately something was wrong. Her few belongings were scattered across the floor. The mattress had been sliced open. Someone had torn her room apart, looking for something. G1 didn't wait to see if they were coming back. She grabbed her backpack, stuffed her spare clothes inside, and ran. The station's maintenance tunnels were a maze of narrow passages that ran between the main corridors. She had studied them during her first week, always planning her escape routes. Now she ran through them, her breath echoing off the metal walls. Behind her, she heard a clicking sound. The Vrelian. She ran faster. The tunnel opened into a service corridor. She could see an exit ahead, leading to the docking levels. If she could just reach it, she might be able to hide among the ships until the transport left. Footsteps behind her, getting closer. The clicking grew louder. She pushed herself harder, her lungs burning. She burst through a service hatch and slammed directly into someone. They both went down in a tangle of limbs. G1 looked up, ready to run again, and froze. It was the man in the hat. The cowboy. He was getting to his feet, looking down at her with surprise. Before either of them could speak, the service hatch exploded outward. The Vrelian stepped through, its forearms spreading wide, its eyes fixed on G1. Small drones floated out behind it, weapons charging. The creature's mandibles clicked in what might have been a laugh. The cowboy looked at G1, then at the Vrelian. His hand dropped to his weapon. "Ma'am," he said quietly in Korean, "you might want to get behind me." He stepped between her and the alien hunter, his coat settling around him like a shield. The Vrelian tilted its head, studying this human who dared to interfere. "This does not concern you, human," the Vrelian said in clicking, translated speech. "The female is a wanted fugitive. Step aside." The cowboy shook his head slowly. "Can't do that either. See, I got this problem with folks who hunt people through maintenance tunnels. Makes me real itchy." His hand moved to his weapon, and G1 realized she had stopped running into a situation that might be even more dangerous than the one she was running from. The Vrelian moved first. Its forearms blurred as it reached for weapons, and the drone spread out to create a crossfire. G1 had seen Vrelians hunt before. They were fast, efficient, and never missed. The cowboy was faster. His revolver appeared in his hand like magic. The first shot took out 2 drones before they could fire. He dropped low, rolled sideways, and his second shot made the Vrelian's shield flicker and spark. The creature hissed in surprise. "Run!" The cowboy shouted at G1, but she couldn't move. She watched as the man used the corridor itself as a weapon. He shot a ceiling panel, and it crashed down on the remaining drones. He kicked the maintenance cart into the Vrelian's path, buying himself a second to reload. Every movement was precise, practiced, deadly. The Vrelian was strong and had better weapons. But the human was creative. He used tricks the alien hadn't expected. When the Vrelian tried to charge, the cowboy shot out a coolant pipe. White mist filled the corridor, and the hunter's thermal vision went useless. Through the mist, the cowboy's voice rang out. "You picked the wrong station to hunt humans, Bug." A final shot, a shriek of pain, and the Vrelian retreated back through the service hatch. The cowboy didn't chase it. He turned to G1, his weapon still ready. "You hurt?" he asked in Korean. She shook her head, unable to speak. "Good. Come with me. That thing will be back with friends." He grabbed her arm, gentle but firm, and pulled her down the corridor. They moved through the station quickly. the cowboy clearly knowing every shortcut and back passage. Ji-won's mind raced. Who was this man? Why had he helped her? What did he want? They stopped at a door in a quiet section of the upper levels. The cowboy scanned his palm and the door opened. Inside, quick. His quarters were nothing like she expected. The room was large and clean, filled with old books on real paper shelves. Classical music played softly from hidden speakers. A collection of antique revolvers hung on one wall, each one carefully maintained. The cowboy removed his hat and coat, hanging them on a hook by the door. Without them, he looked younger, maybe mid-30s. He had kind eyes, but they held the weight of someone who had seen too much violence. "Sit," he said, pointing to a comfortable chair. "I'll make tea." Ji-won sat, watching as he moved around a small kitchen area. Her hand stayed near her backpack, ready to run if needed. But something about this man made her want to trust him. Maybe it was the Korean he spoke, reminding her of home. Maybe it was the way he had stepped between her and certain death without hesitation. He brought 2 cups of tea and sat across from her. "My name is Taeho. I'm a marshal here on Dustfall Station." He sipped his tea, waiting. "Ji-won," she said quietly. Then she caught herself. That was her real name. She had just given him her real name. 5 years of running, and she broke her first rule within minutes of meeting this stranger. Taeho nodded as if he understood. "That Relian is a bounty hunter. Professional, expensive, which means someone with money wants you bad." He paused. "I don't need your whole story, Ji-won. Just need to know one thing. Are you running from justice or from something worse?" She looked into his eyes and made a decision. "Something worse. That's all I need to know." He stood and walked to a medical kit on the wall. "You've got a cut on your arm. Let me clean it." As he worked on her arm, Ji-won watched his face. "Why did you help me? You don't know me?" Taeho was quiet for a moment. "I was in the human defense fleet during the contact wars. Saw a lot of bad things happen when humans didn't stand together against alien threats. I live by a simple code now. I protect humans first, ask questions later." He finished bandaging her arm. "I won't turn you over to an alien bounty hunter without knowing why you're being hunted. What if I'm a criminal?" Ji-won asked. "Are you?" "No. Then we don't have a problem." He sat back down. "I'm guessing you're running from a corporation. They're the only ones who can afford Relian hunters and keep chasing someone for years." Ji-won's surprise must have shown on her face because Taeho smiled. "I'm a marshal. I notice things. You move like someone who's been running a long time. You check exits, avoid cameras, and you gave me a fake name first before correcting yourself with your real one. That tells me you're tired of running." She nodded slowly. "Hanseong Industries? I used to work for them. I saw something I shouldn't have, and they've been hunting me for 5 years." Taeho's expression darkened. "Hanseong? They're bad news. Got their fingers in everything from weapons to genetics." He leaned forward. "What did you see?" "I can't tell you. Not yet. It's safer if you don't know." He accepted this with a nod. "Fair enough. But here's the situation. That Relian isn't going to give up. He'll report what happened, and more hunters will come. You need to get off this station." "I know. I was planning to leave tonight anyway." "Won't work. That hunter has already registered its claim with the station master. You're officially a bounty target now, which means in 24 hours, station security will help it hunt you." Taeho stood and walked to a computer terminal. "But I have contacts. People who can give you new papers, get you passage to the inner colonies, where you can disappear for real." "Why would you do this for me?" Ji-won asked again. Taeho turned to look at her. "I had a sister, Ha-won. During the contact wars, she got conscripted into military experiments. They were trying to make better soldiers. The enhancements failed, and she died. His voice was flat, controlled. I've been fighting corporate exploitation of humans ever since. So when I see someone running from a megacorporation, I help. It's that simple. Ji-won felt tears forming in her eyes. For 5 years, she had been alone, trusting no one. Now this stranger was offering help, asking nothing in return. But first, Taeho continued, we need to deal with the Vrelian problem. It won't wait 24 hours. It will come after you tonight, and it'll bring friends. What do we do? Taeho smiled, and it wasn't a kind smile. We set a trap. Make the hunters into the hunted. Before Ji-won could respond, Taeho's communication terminal beeped. He checked it, and his expression went dark. We've got a problem. 2 more bounty hunters just docked. A Korthian mercenary and... He paused, his jaw tightening. A human. Someone named Hyan Woo. A human is hunting me? Ji-won felt sick. Some people sell out their own for money. Taeho's voice was cold. Doesn't matter. Changes nothing about what we're going to do. He pulled up a map of the station on his screen. The old mining sector, down in the lower levels. It's abandoned, unstable, full of tunnels and dead ends. We draw them there, use the environment against them. Ji-won looked at the map, her scientist brain already working. If we collapse the right supports, we could trap them without killing them. Taeho looked at her with respect. Exactly. You're quick. I'm a scientist, she said. Or I was, before I became a runner. Then let's use that brain of yours. We've got until midnight before they make their move. Taeho handed her a data pad. Help me plan this out. Time to stop running and start fighting back. For the first time in 5 years, Ji-won felt something other than fear. She felt hope. They'd been planning for 2 hours when Taeho's terminal lit up with an alert. He checked it and swore. The Korthian just tried to access the station's personnel records. They're not waiting until midnight. They're making their move now. Ji-won's hands shook as she set down the datapad. How long do we have? Maybe an hour. Taeho was already moving, pulling weapons from hidden compartments around his quarters. He tossed her a small pistol. You know how to use this? She nodded. Basic training back in university. Point and shoot. The safety is here. He showed her quickly. Stay close to me. If we get separated, head for the east docking bay. I have a friend there who owes me a favor. They left his quarters through a service exit, moving through the quieter corridors of the station. Taeho led her to a small apartment in the workers' district. He knocked 3 times, paused, then knocked twice more. The door opened to reveal a woman with sharp eyes and graying hair. She looked at Taeho, then at Ji-won, and stepped aside. Get in, quick. Inside, 3 other people waited. 2 men and another woman, all human, all armed. They had the look of former military, like Taeho. The woman who had let them in spoke first. This the one everyone's hunting? She asked. This is Ji-won, Taeho said. She needs our help. The oldest man, maybe 60 years old, studied Ji-won carefully. 3 bounty hunters for 1 woman. What did you do? Kill a governor. I worked for Hanseong Industries, Ji-won said quietly. I found out things they didn't want anyone to know. The room went silent. Everyone knew Hanseong Industries. They were one of the biggest corporations in human space, with connections to governments and criminal organizations alike. What kind of things? The older man asked. Ji-won looked at Taeho. He nodded. She had to trust someone eventually. Might as well be people willing to fight for her. I was a scientist, she began. 5 years ago, I worked on a project called Genesis. We were studying how humans adapt to deep space conditions. She took a breath. We discovered something. When humans are exposed to certain radiation patterns in deep space, about 30% of them experience permanent changes. Their brains process information faster. They can multitask better. Their pattern recognition improves dramatically. One of the younger men whistled low. Enhancement without surgery or drugs. Exactly. It's in our DNA, just waiting to be activated. We could make humanity smarter, faster, better at everything we do. G1's voice grew stronger. We wanted to publish the research, make it available to everyone. But Han Xiang shut us down. Why would they do that? The older woman asked. Because they wanted to weaponize it. Create an elite class of enhanced humans and sell suppression technology to alien governments who fear human advancement. G1 felt anger rising in her chest. They were going to keep humanity from reaching its potential, all for profit. The older man spoke again. You said you were part of a team. Where are they now? G1's voice went flat. Dead. There was an accident at the research facility. An explosion. The official report said it was a coolant leak. But I saw the bombs being planted. I barely escaped. The room was silent again. Taeho's expression was dark. You have proof. G1 pulled a small data chip from a hidden pocket in her jacket. Everything. All our research, all the findings, encrypted recordings of the executives planning to weaponize it. This is why they're hunting me. Taeho took the chip carefully, as if it might explode. This changes everything. You're not just a fugitive. You're carrying humanity's future. The older man stood. My name is Dong Jin. Used to be a captain in the defense fleet. If what you're saying is true, we can't let Han Xiang keep this buried. He looked at the others. We need to get her off station and somewhere safe. There's more, Taeho said. He pulled up a message on his terminal. I've been contacted by a group called the Frontier Coalition. They're resistance fighters, humans who oppose corporate control of the colonies. They've been tracking Han Xiang's operations. I've heard of them, Dongjin said. Good people. Hard fighters. They want the research data, Taeho continued. They can offer protection, resources, maybe even help us expose Han Xiang properly. G1 felt overwhelmed. This was supposed to be simple. Hide, run, survive. Now you're talking about resistance movements and exposing corporations. Taeho knelt in front of her chair. You've been running for 5 years. How much longer can you keep going? Eventually, they'll catch you. But if we fight back, if we make this information public, they lose their reason to hunt you. They'll kill me for revenge, Ji-won said. Maybe, but at least humanity will know the truth. Taeho's eyes were intense. And you won't be alone anymore. The building shook suddenly. Alarms blared in the distance. Dongjin ran to the window and looked out. We've got company. The bounty hunters found us. Taeho was already moving. Everyone grab weapons. We're gonna have to fight our way out. They heard footsteps in the corridor outside. Heavy footsteps, too many to count. Then a voice called out in common. We know you're in there. Send out the woman, and the rest of you can live. It was a human voice. Hyanwoo, the turncoat. Taeho looked at Ji-won. She shook her head. She was done running. We fight. The door exploded inward. The Korthian mercenary came through first, its massive body covered in armor. Behind it, the Vrelian and its drones. And behind them, Hyanwoo, a lean man with cold eyes and a rifle. The apartment erupted in gunfire. Taeho and his friends fought like they had trained together for years. They used the apartment's layout, creating choke points and crossfire zones. Dongjin threw a homemade explosive that took out half the drones. The two younger fighters used furniture as cover while laying down suppressing fire. Ji-won found herself back to back with the older woman, both of them firing at targets moving through the smoke. Her hands had stopped shaking. Fear had turned into focus. The Corthian charged, and Teho met it head-on. They fought hand-to-hand, the alien's strength against the human's speed and tactics. Teho used the Corthian's own momentum against it, sending it crashing through a wall into the next apartment. "Do!" Dongjin shouted. "Get her out of here." Teho grabbed G1 and ran for the back exit. Behind them, the others covered their escape. They burst out into a service corridor just as the floor above them collapsed from an explosion. They ran through the station, pursued by the sound of weapons fire and screaming alarms. Station security was responding, but they were scattered and confused. Teho led G1 through maintenance tunnels, across cargo bays, through ventilation shafts. Finally, they reached a small storage room in the abandoned mining sector. Teho sealed the door and checked his terminal. Dongjin and the others made it out. They're heading to the east docking bay. G1 slumped against the wall, breathing hard. How did they find us so fast? Hyan Wu. He must have connections with station security. Teho was thinking fast. We need to change the plan. The hunters know we're trying to leave. They'll be watching all the docking bays. So what do? Teho looked at the data chip in his hand. We stop running. We make a stand. And we make sure that even if they kill us, this information gets out. G1 stood up straighter. 5 years of fear had held her back. But Teho was right. Running would never end until she fought back. Tell me the plan, she said. Teho smiled. We're going to give them exactly what they want. You. But on our terms, in a place where we have every advantage. He pulled up the mining sector map. We're going to turn this entire sector into a trap. The abandoned mining sector was a maze of tunnels, unstable platforms, and broken equipment. Teho and G1 had spent 2 hours preparing it, turning every corridor into a potential death trap. Now they waited in the central chamber, a massive open space where mining machines once operated. You sure about this? Teho asked one more time. G1 checked her pistol and nodded. I'm done being afraid. Teho activated a station-wide broadcast. His voice echoed through every speaker on Dustfall Station. This is Marshal Teho. The woman you're hunting is in the old mining sector, central chamber. Come and get her. But know this. She's under my protection, and I'm done playing nice. He shut off the broadcast and looked at G1. That should get their attention. Within minutes, movement echoed from the tunnels around them. The hunters were coming. The Vrelian appeared first, its insect body moving silently across the metal floor. Its drone spread out, scanning for traps. It saw G1 standing in the center of the chamber and clicked its mandibles in satisfaction. You cannot win, human, it said through its translator. Surrender the female, and I will make your death quick. Teho stepped out from behind a support pillar, his revolver already drawn. That's your first mistake. Assuming you're going to win. The Corthian mercenary emerged from another tunnel, its armor scorched from the earlier fight. Behind it came Hyan Wu, the human turncoat, his rifle aimed at G1. 3 against 2, Hyan Wu said. Bad odds for you, Marshal. Wrong again, a voice called from above. Dongjin and his team appeared on the upper platforms, weapons ready. Then more humans emerged from the tunnels. Workers from the cargo bay where G1 had worked. Merchants from the market. Settlers from the frontier. 20 humans, maybe more, all armed, all ready to fight. Teho smiled. You aliens always make the same mistake about us. You think because we're individually weaker, we're inferior. But we don't fight alone. Touch one of us, and you fight all of us. The Vrelian looked around, calculating odds. For the first time, it seemed uncertain. This is illegal, it said. Station regulations state that registered bounty claims must be honored. Station regulations also say bounty hunters can't attack marshals, Tejo replied. You broke the rules first. Now we're playing by human rules. G1 watched the hunters carefully. They were trapped, surrounded, but they were professionals. They wouldn't give up easily. I'm offering you one chance, Tejo continued. Leave this station. Tell HFY Industries that G1 is under frontier protection. Tell them if they want her, they'll have to go through all of us. The Corthian growled. We have a contract. Break it. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Haiyan Wu raised his rifle. I can't, the human said quietly. They have my family. My wife, my son. If I don't bring her in, they'll kill them. Tejo's expression softened slightly. Then help us instead. We take down these two, and then we help you get your family back. You have my word. Haiyan Wu hesitated. G1 could see the conflict in his eyes. He wanted to believe, wanted to hope, but fear held him back. The Vrelian made the decision for him. It fired at Haiyan Wu, deciding the turncoat was now a liability. Haiyan Wu dove for cover as the shot missed him by inches. Bad move, Tejo said. The chamber exploded into chaos. The Vrelian's drones opened fire, but Dongjin's team was ready. They shot down the drones one by one while using the mining equipment as cover. The Corthian charged at the nearest group of humans, but G1 had planned for that. She triggered the first trap. The floor panel beneath the Corthian gave way, and it fell 10 feet into a maintenance shaft. Not enough to kill it, but enough to slow it down. The Vrelian moved with deadly speed, its 4 arms wielding different weapons. It fired, dodged, and attacked with brutal efficiency. 2 humans went down, wounded but not dead. The Vrelian was heading straight for G1. Tejo intercepted it. His revolver flashed, and the Vrelian's shield sparked. They fought at close range, the alien's superior strength against the human's superior tactics. Tejo used every dirty trick he knew. He threw dust in the Vrelian's eyes, shot out lights to create darkness, used the unstable floor to throw off its balance. You fight without honor, the Vrelian hissed. I fight to win, Tejo replied. G1 wasn't idle. She ran to a control panel and activated the second trap. Mining lasers, still functional after years of abandonment, powered up and began cutting through support beams. The chamber started to shake. The Corthian climbed out of the shaft, roaring in anger. Haiyan Wu, having made his choice, fired at it from behind. The shot took out one of the alien's knee joints, and it stumbled. For my family, Haiyan Wu shouted, firing again. The ceiling groaned. Large sections of metal began to fall. Everyone scattered, looking for cover. The Vrelian tried to reach G1 one more time, but Dongjin tackled it from the side. They rolled across the floor, fighting desperately. Now, G1 shouted. Tejo fired at the central support beam she had weakened. It shattered, and half the ceiling came down. The noise was deafening. Dust and debris filled the air. When the dust cleared, the Vrelian was trapped under a fallen beam. The Corthian was pinned against a wall by debris. Both were alive but unable to move. Haiyan Wu stood nearby, his weapon lowered, breathing hard. The human settlers surrounded the trapped hunters, weapons ready. Tejo walked over to the Vrelian. You're going to send a message to HFY Industries, he said quietly. Tell him G1 is dead, killed in the collapse. You barely escaped with your life. Can you do that? The Vrelian's eyes flickered. Why would I? Because if you don't, my friends here will make sure you don't leave this station at all. And I'll personally make sure every bounty hunter in the galaxy knows a Vrelian failed a contract and begged for mercy. Reputation meant everything to Vrelians. The alien considered for a long moment, then nodded. I will send the message. Tejo turned to the Corthian. You? The massive alien just grunted. Contract is void if target is dead. I leave. Good. Tejo looked at his people. Get them to a ship and make sure they actually leave the system. As the hunters were taken away, G1 approached Hyun Woo. What will you do now? The man looked at her with tired eyes. Help you fight back. If that's okay. I need to get my family away from Han Seol. Tejo put a hand on his shoulder. We'll help. That's what humans do. We protect our own. Dongjin walked over, grinning despite a cut on his forehead. That was a good fight. Reminded me of the old days. G1 looked around at all the humans who had risked their lives for her. Strangers, most of them. But they had fought because she was human, and humans protected each other. What happens now? She asked Tejo. He pulled out the data chip. Now we make a choice. We can give this to the Frontier Coalition and let them use it. Or we can do something bigger. Like what? Tejo smiled. We give it to everyone. Every human colony, every station, every ship. We broadcast it across all of human space. Make it impossible for Han Xiong or anyone else to control. G1 thought about her team, dead for 5 years. Thought about all the humans who could benefit from the research. Thought about what true freedom meant. Let's do it, she said. Let's give humanity its future back. 3 months had passed since the night G1 stopped running. She stood at the window of the Frontier Coalition's headquarters, watching ships come and go from the station below. So much had changed in such a short time. The data broadcast had worked better than anyone expected. Within hours of transmission, every human colony had received the Genesis research. Scientists across human space began studying it, verifying it, discussing it. The secret was out, and there was no way to put it back. Han Seong Industries tried to fight back at first. They claimed the research was stolen, that it was dangerous, that it needed corporate oversight. But the evidence of their conspiracy was in the data too. The recordings of executives planning to weaponize the research, the orders to eliminate G1's team, everything. Within 2 weeks, Han Seong's stock had crashed. Their executives were arrested on multiple worlds. The corporation fragmented into smaller companies, their power broken. G1 had heard that the CEO killed himself rather than face trial. She felt nothing when she heard the news. Still looking at the stars, G1 turned to see Tejo walking into the room. He had taken off his marshal badge last month, officially joining the Frontier Coalition as a security advisor. He still wore his hat, though. Some things never changed. I used to hate looking at stars, G1 said. They reminded me of running, of always moving to the next place. Now they just look beautiful. Tejo stood next to her at the window. How was the meeting with the council? They offered me the position. Chief Scientific Advisor for all the enhancement research programs. She smiled. I said yes, but only if we do it right. Full transparency, ethical oversight. No military applications without civilian approval. They agreed? They didn't have much choice. I'm the only one who understands the original research completely. G1 looked at him. What about you? Dongjin said you turned down the military position they offered. Tejo shrugged. I'm not a soldier anymore. Don't want to be one again. I'm better at protecting people than commanding them. So what will you do? Keep doing what I do best. There's talk of creating a new marshal service, independent of corporate control. Someone needs to protect the frontier settlers, the people who don't have power or money. He smiled. Besides, someone needs to make sure you scientists don't get too focused on research and forget about the real world. G1 laughed. It felt good to laugh. Is that your way of saying you want to stick around? Maybe. Tejo's expression grew serious. The universe is changing, G1. The first batch of enhanced humans are already showing results. In 10 years, humanity is going to be different. Smarter, faster, better at everything. The other alien species are scared. I know. I've read the reports. 3 alien governments have formed a defensive alliance. They're worried we'll become a threat. G1 felt the weight of responsibility. Did I make a mistake? Releasing the research? No. Tejo's voice was firm. You gave humanity a choice about its own future. That's never wrong. How we use this knowledge, that's up to all of us now. A message came through on G1's terminal. She checked it and smiled. It's from Hyanwu. He got his family out. They're safe on a colony in the inner systems. Good. He earned his second chance. They had helped Hyanwu extract his family from Hanseong's control 2 months ago. It had been dangerous, but Tejo had kept his promise. The man was working for the Frontier Coalition now, using his knowledge of corporate security to help others escape. I got a message too, Tejo said. From the Vrelian Hunter. Seems it's retired from bounty hunting. Started a security consulting business instead. It wanted to thank me for not killing it. G1 raised an eyebrow. You're friends with the alien that tried to kill me? Not friends. But we respect each other. It was just doing a job. Once the job was over, the fight was over. Tejo grinned. Besides, it's spreading stories about how dangerous humans are when you threaten one of us. Good for our reputation. Our reputation as what? Crazy? As people you don't mess with. Tejo's grin faded. Seriously though, that's important. The galaxy needs to know that humans protect their own. It's the only thing that keeps the aliens from trying to control us. G1 knew he was right. In the 3 months since the broadcast, human colonies had reported fewer attacks, less corporate intimidation, and more respectful treatment from alien species. The story of Dustfall Station had spread. One woman, hunted by bounty hunters in a megacorporation, protected by a frontier marshal, and ordinary humans who refused to let one of their own be taken. It was becoming a legend. And legends had power. I'm going back to Dustfall next week, Tejo said. Going to start setting up the new marshal service from there. It's a good central location. I'll be traveling to different colonies, G1 said. Helping set up enhancement research programs, training new scientists, making sure it's all done ethically. So we'll both be busy. Yes. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Tejo spoke quietly. You know, you don't have to do this alone anymore. You've got a whole network of people who believe in what you're doing. I know. But I spent 5 years alone. It's hard to change that habit. G1 looked at him. You help me remember what it means to be human. We don't abandon our own. We don't surrender to fear. And we never give up on our future. Someone wise must have told you that, Tejo said with a smile. Someone stubborn, you mean? But G1 smiled back. I was thinking about writing about what happened. My memories of the research, the running, how it all changed. Maybe it would help people understand. I think people would want to read that. A scientist who became a runner, who became a fighter. It's a good story. It's not finished yet. The story, I mean. Humanity is just starting to change. Who knows what happens next? Tejo put on his hat, ready to leave. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. That's the human way. After he left, G1 sat at her desk and opened a new document. She thought about everything that had happened, everyone who had helped her. She thought about her team, dead but not forgotten. She thought about the future, scary and exciting and full of possibilities. She began to type. I stopped running when I remembered what it meant to be human. The words flowed easily now, no longer blocked by fear. She wrote about the research, the discovery, the conspiracy. She wrote about the explosion and the 5 years of running. She wrote about Dustfall Station, about a cowboy in an old hat who stepped between her and death without hesitation. She wrote about ordinary humans who became heroes because that's what humans do. They'd protect their own. The document grew longer. Outside her window, ships continued to move through space. Human ships, carrying enhanced and unenhanced humans alike, spreading across the galaxy. Building new colonies, making new discoveries, facing new challenges. 10 years from now, humanity would be unrecognizable. Enhanced humans would serve in every field. Scientists making breakthrough discoveries. Explorers finding new worlds. Diplomats negotiating with alien species from a position of strength. Defenders protecting human space with unprecedented tactical abilities. The other species would adapt or fall behind. Some would make alliances with humanity. Others would resist. There would be conflicts, possibly even wars. But humans would face it all together, as they always had. G1 finished the first chapter of her memoir and saved it. She would send it to Taeho first, get his thoughts. Then maybe to Dongjin and the others. Eventually, she would publish it for everyone to read. The title came to her suddenly, and she smiled as she typed it at the top of the document. She stopped running from her past when a cowboy stepped in to save her. The true story of Project Genesis and humanity's awakening. It was a long title, but it fit. Sometimes the best stories couldn't be summed up in just a few words. Her terminal beeped. A message from one of the colonies. The first generation of enhanced children were showing remarkable abilities. They wanted her to visit, to help guide the research. G1 accepted the invitation. There was work to do, a future to build. But for the first time in 5 years, she wasn't afraid of it. She looked out at the stars one more time before leaving. They didn't look like escape routes anymore. They looked like destinations, like home. Somewhere out there, Taeho was probably already on a ship back to Dustfall, ready to protect the next person who needed help. Hyan Woo was building a new life with his family. Dongjin and his team were training new defenders. And millions of humans were waking up to their potential. The future was uncertain. But for the first time, G1 was certain about her place in it. She wasn't running anymore. She was building something better.